Okay. Well, what do we have here? We've got power adapters, EliteDesk power adapters, and something we all need, and yet something that I have kind of a pet peeve about. Not the adapters themselves, but the people that sometimes sell them, and just trying to get the right specs for everything. So what I've got here are correct power adapters. This is a 65 watt. You've got your 85 watt, which I'll talk about a little bit. '90. See, it's getting a little bigger. And of course, the gargantuan 150 watt, which, you know, you could put like 2 or 3 of these 65 watt into there. So let's talk a little bit on these. 65 watt. 65 watt power supply that you use for a 35 watt EliteDesk. So that's one with a T processor, because that's what the particular, it's the 35 watt, as far as the name of the unit, talks about more in concerning the actual CPU. So, but if you only had 35 watt for a 35 watt CPU, what are you going to do with the rest of the, how are you going to power the rest of the system? So you need your 65 watt. This is spec'd as 19.5 volts, 3.33 amps. And I'll show that on the screen and probably put it in the links too, just as a reminder. The great thing with these is that this same power supply I can use on my G1, G2, G3, G4, G5. I know maybe beyond that, but I do all my testing with a 65 watt power supply, and I'm interchanging and plugging it in all the different units all the time, and there's not an issue. Well, this is a little embarrassing because I was going to show this 85 watt saying, oh, it's just like the 65 watt, same specs as far as the voltage and amperage, but it isn't, and it doesn't meet the same sort of specs. So I'm not going to present this one, or maybe I'll present this one as one to be cautious of. I discovered that I was using this one on my G1 backup NAS. So now I'm going to have to use one of my 65 watt spares that I just ordered. And I thought I had 2 spares, but one spare has sticky stuff all over it. So I'm getting a replacement from them, or I sent in a note. Okay, so we'll put this one to the side and we'll go to the 90 watt. So the 90 watt I first discovered when I got my first G2 65 watt unit. I'd actually ordered a 35 watt, but they sent a 65. I plugged it in, and I think I even have a video on it. I plugged it in, and I get the beep, 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 doo, 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 beep, beep, which essentially says, hey, I'm a 65 watt CPU. I need a 90 watt power supply. And I'm like, and at the time I was just so new with all this, I didn't quite know what was going on. And I must have done some research or something said about. Anyway, I went to my bin of just various power supplies that I had collected through the years. And lo and behold, I had a 90-watt power supply. I plugged it in. The specs were not the ones that I wanted to be, but it was enough to get it to working. And right away, I went and ordered a replacement. So the 90-watt is supposed to be 19.5 volts, 4.62 amps. So that's, there's a lot of them out there that are only 19 watt, or maybe they play around with the amperage. I always go with the specs that match what came with the unit. Okay. Then I was going to, or I did do a video about using a K processor. And in order to use the K processor, you've got to have a 150 watt power supply. This is also the power supply if you try to run a unit that has the add-in GPU in it. This one, I did a lot of research, looked at pictures, went on the HP parts server, went back and forth, because again, there were differences in the amperage and such. But this 150 watt needs, again, 19.5 volts, 7.7 amps. And just before I was going to do the video, I double checked, I looked and so forth. This is going to be one of your more expensive ones. I was still able to get this. I think it costs somewhere in the teens, 18, 19 bucks, just have to look for it. And then, but again, this was very specialized. Most people don't need a 150 watt power supply. The 90 is fine if you're going to do. Now, of course, all of these will work with, if you just had a plain old, I don't know, G3 35 watt. It's kind of overkill, and plus it's huge. So you don't need to, go that way, but it will work. Now, to my kind of pet peeves, you really have to look at what you're ordering and make sure that the pictures match and everything looks great. And if they don't have a picture on there that you can read the specs, go to the next one. There's I don't know, a million of these out there. So if they're not going to give you the info, or they're charging exorbitant prices, most of the power supplies, power adapters that I buy, range from $8 to $12, somewhere around there. Look around. Make sure that it's an actual HP. Why spend the same amount for some clone when you can get the genuine HP article? And so, even on Amazon, sometimes they'll advertise ones that look like it. You can get these really quick. A lot of times it's free shipping. They ship it out to you. A lot of them are real good with, making sure that you've got the right thing. This particular one was one of the bad ones. I ordered it from a site. Didn't ship. Finally sent it after I had canceled the order, and it didn't even come with the cord that plugs in. I sadly, I think there was just something not quite going on there. This was a 65 watt, but it was 18.5 volts, 3.5 amps. So totally different. I don't know what unit this probably came from, some sort of laptop. And it just, I hate to throw it away. I mean, I could e-waste it. I'll keep it around in case for some reason somebody needs it for something. Same thing happened ordering a 90 watt. I came in, I think this one may have been with where they included it when I ordered something. And I had to write back and I said, well, you gave me a 19 volt 4.74 amp, and I'm like, again, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, gee, you're being real extra picky. I mean, the just normal ranges of error and fault tolerance and all that kind of thing. I agree, but again, if the spec has it a certain way and they were selling a certain adapter, might as well get the right thing with it. I mean, I could understand if these were very rare, hard to find stuff, take what you can get, but again, they're everywhere. So be picky. If you order a unit and specifically if they said that they're sending you the one that goes for that unit and they send you the wrong one, write back. I mean, worst you can negotiate with them and say, hey, how about I don't know, $10 refund, and I'll go and buy my own, unless they want to send you the thing. But because ultimately it's probably gonna work. Most likely it's gonna work. Gonna give you everything's fine. But again, might as well why do the stuff different? Go with the thing that was produced for that particular product. Now, one thing I do want to talk about though is part numbers. They're all over the place. You'll look it up in Part Surfer. It will have a number. You'll go to eBay. You'll find that. It will show a completely different unit. Maybe that number that you were given replaces a different one. Maybe your number is the old one and now there's a replacement. I don't get as caught up in that as much, other than using it as a way to look stuff up. So if you look in the normal descriptions or the full description, and it's got the right specs and the picture has the right specs, then part number isn't as important. Problem though, again, pet peeve, is sometimes the description will have all the specs correct, but the picture will be wrong, or vice versa. And so again, I like to make sure that they match up. And if they don't, I go to the next person or the next place. And if you find a place that you really like and they're consistent in what they send you, then just keep going with them. The good ones will want your business and they'll do whatever. If the thing's wrong, they'll take care of it. So the other thing too is I would recommend is try to get a couple extra of these. They're good to have one for your test bench. I've got one set up. I was actually able to find one, I don't know where, but it was a 65 watt that has the 90-degree connector on it, which is kind of handy. The only thing that I always worry about is, how on the back of the this piece here, which is for, I believe you could put a lock on it. Sometimes they're kind of sticking out, and I'm always worried. Kind of, I don't like having power right next to a thing, but that's not, I push it in, and then it fits right in there, so it's not a big deal. The other thing that I've found, occasionally you'll have differences also just in that barrel and how well it fits. You do want to make sure, again, that's genuine HP. HP will have the pin in the middle of there. Can we kind of see that? Yeah, we can see that. Okay. Okay, that's, I think, enough of the rant talking about power supplies. Probably more than, or power adapters, probably more than you'd wanted to, but just wanted to put it out there. I just want to embolden people, to get the right thing. And if you get the wrong thing, save it. You might use it for something else, maybe as a something goes wrong with your main one and you replace it. I can say that these HP power supplies are very good. I have not had one fail on me yet. And I've got some stuff, of course, that's running 24/7. I'd be curious to know in the comments any people that have had issues with the power supplies. Um, I bet not. I think they're well made. HP made a ton of them because they used them on a lot of things. They used them most likely for these Elite desks, of course, for the ProDesk 400 and 600. They probably used them for the some of their laptops, maybe for the Elite Book. So they know what they're doing. They've got it. So people might ask, well, should I spend the exorbitant amount and get a brand new one? I don't think it's worth it. I mean, especially here on this station, we're trying to reuse old tech. We might as well use the old power supplies too. Because if they've gone this far, you figure they're going to keep going. I mean, or I should say, at least that they were used on a unit. And most likely, they've been torture tested. Probably, again, a lot of these were 24/7, or, they're using a corporate environment, so they're on all day. So these are pretty tough units. So I don't think you go wrong with these.